Tommy Cutlets.
You related to that guy? So I got my dad was at the game yesterday.
Yeah, that's wild to me.
No, I mean he does this all the time.
I know, that's wild to me.
So at the beginning of the game when everybody's getting hurt, because that game like lost all its juice early. I just texted him, 8:44. Why is everyone getting hurt? He just responds, they're trying too hard. And then the Tyreek Hill injury happens. And what do you think he texted me?
It's all your fault. You jinxed it.
Ding, 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 ding. Your text jinxed the Dolphins. And then he texted me this morning. 2 of the Dolphins defense broke my heart last night. What are we? You broke my heart. Was this the Italian night? Anyway, the unsportsmanlike penalties hurt too. I thought I was watching the University of Miami and not an NFL team. But yeah, I thought you'd enjoy the fact that my dad texted me. And it was like, see? Now, I don't want to argue with him, but I feel like what I could do is just text him back. I'm like, I'm not the one that flew down to Miami to go watch a Monday Night Football game. Like, who's that on? I was just watching it at home. Maybe you flying down there is the reason why they lost. Ever thought of that?
Yeah.
Took my cousin Ralphie. Maybe because Ralphie went. You never know. You never know. Cousin Nunzio. Tommy DeVito's people.
It's fucking
Tommy DeVito. That agent's
not even the story anymore. The agent.
No, the agent's the story. The agent's clearly the story. It's clearly the story. Anyway,
It's so Ozzy. It's so woozy.
You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that white balance change. My goodness. Good stuff. All right. Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside the Eford Studios, downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. A lot of 2024 problems. Like, it's mid-December. That sounds like a January problem to me. Don't keep putting off your print and management cost problems, though. It's a very, very sneaky eater of budgets. So head on over to copiers-plus.com and get your print management assessment today. I forgot I was a doubleheader last night in Monday Night Football. I was hyped to watch the Dolphins and the Titans until the injuries started to happen and all the air went out of the room. And then I went to bed when the Dolphins were up 15. I was like, all right, in the bag. We're good, right?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? And I was sleepy. I wasn't going to watch the end of the Giants and Packers, which apparently was a prophecy foretold by Coming to America. Anyway, with the way that game ended. So you want to start with the Dolphins being who I thought they were? Or do you want to start with the real star last night, Tommy DeVito's agent?
Let's start with cousin Nunzio.
Oh my goodness. So funny, I sent you a thread from CJ0 and you're like, oh, I forgot you're not really spending time on Twitter anymore. So I'm putting this up on YouTube and you see at the beginning of the game, Tommy DeVito hoodie up. And I'm like, this is an act. There is no way that this guy is real. They're doing the whole Italian 4 fingers chef kiss thing. He's going by Tommy Cutlets now. Tommy's clearly in on the bit, but no, I was wrong. That's a real man. That is actually his agent. His name is Sean Stiletto. I believe that. Yeah, Sean Stellato. I mean, I don't know. The guy is actually going into the Chicago Italian American Sports Hall of Fame this week. This is the real deal, man. And I saw this. I'm watching this happen. And he's with the family and they're kissing each other on the cheeks. It's looking straight out of a movie, man.
Yeah, the only thing I'm disappointed about from the pregame was he didn't have the horn chain in the pregame. I noticed it during the game, and somebody gave it to him during the game.
Yeah,
because they said, to your point, hey, cool, you're dressed up like
he's got the
somebody.
Pinstripe suit. He's got the hat on. He's got the mock turtle.
You're dressed up like somebody from Hoboken. Cool, but you got to have the horn, man. No horn.
Do you have one?
No.
Did you have one at one point?
No, everybody.
You never had the horn?
I mean, a lot of my friends and kids I grew up with, yes. Tom Pellegrino had the horn.
See, because Cubans had a little. The Cubans rocked the gold chain. I mean, there's a reason why they're called Cuban links, for heaven's sake. So you got the gold chain.
Just kissing the dad.
You got the
Like,
we got the
what is
cross.
this?
And typically Cubans have like, they don't have the horn. They have the little it's a little black pearl for like good luck. It's got like religious meaning and things like that. But yes, and they're doing the 4-finger thing, and he's going by Tommy Cutlets and all that stuff. I'm watching this all unfold, and my first thought was, because everybody's making the Italian jokes. Like I know you had a few. Like clearly, Tommy DeVito's agent looks like a guy who ...
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like he knows where you can get a good slice.
Yep.
He knows the super secret restaurant that's got the good gravy, the Sunday dinner, all that stuff.
Definitely ran his own book in high school.
Oh, absolutely.
This is 100% chance.
But here was my initial thought when I'm watching the whole family get together and New York Italian American pride. My first thought was, oh, that guy's moving to Cary. That guy's moving to Morrisville. That guy's moving to Apex. He's Holly Springs, and he's gonna talk to people because look, the first rule of being from New York when you live here is you talk about New York. You always like, well, back in New York, ... I'm going to go to the grocery store. Back in New York, I just go to the bodega. Oh, back in New York. And I'm telling you, he would get here and within 48 hours, he'd be complaining to you about, where can I get good takeout? There's no good takeout here. Where's the water? It's the water. It's got to be the water. Where's the bagel place? And we're like, we could tell him, like, go to Oakwood Pizza Box. Go to Oakwood Pizza Box. And I bet you they'd still complain because that's what New Yorkers who move here do.
Can I tell you that I've never been as disappointed. On Twitter, sometimes you feel like back in the day. You tweet something, man, this is a really good tweet. People are going to love this.
Yeah.
So I'm getting going on all of my Tommy DeVito agent tweets. And I was like, finally, Tommy DeVito's agent 100% has a guy who's got a guy.
Of course.
And like crickets. And then I'm like scrolling through my timeline. And of course, Barstool, I think it was like 10 minutes earlier, had the same tweet.
Of course.
Same tweet.
Of course.
And it had like 15,000 likes. And I'm like, wait a second.
How did you beat me to this?
Because there was like this instant visceral reaction if you were from North Jersey when you saw. And I can't believe he's from Chicago. I haven't been this disappointed in another Italian since I learned Sebastian Maniscalco is from Chicago and his dad's from Chicago. But I'm looking at this guy going, man, I went to St. Catherine's CYO basketball. I played against your agent a bunch of times. Come on, man. And then I was like, he definitely has been to the strip club and suffered because New York is full nudity, by the way. New Jersey's not. So you don't go to the strip club. You don't go to the Bada Big.
I'm not going to the Bada Big. I thought the whole point was to go to the Bada Big, man.
No, you don't. You go to New York. That's the whole point. I had them all going last night. And I'm like, and then here's the thing. Tommy DeVito, first game, he had negative yards passing. And I'm just sitting here going, this poor guy.
Poor Tommy DeVito.
Because he's poor Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
3 games in a row. And then last night, the place was obviously buzzing for him. And New Jersey loves their own, of course, because you said New York, but actually New Jersey. And they love their own. Props to Joe Buck last night talking about, hey, we're in New Jersey. And then he was like showing pictures. He's like, no, they're over there in the city because the pregame sky shots and all that. He goes, but we're in Jersey. And he's talking about Tommy Cutlets and of course, he airmailed a couple early passes, and I'm going, this guy is like, this is a Fugazi, but he has sparked them. He's given them a little bit of life. You know what he really does? He gets rid of the ball quickly.
He does.
He's decisive. He gets rid of the ball quickly. It was a watchable football game. I felt bad for the Packers, who seemingly had found something the last few weeks. That's how it goes in the NFL. I did not watch a second of the Dolphins game, and I saw the Tariq injury that they broke into the updates, and I'm going, they're really reaching to giving us updates of this crap game.
Well, I mean, they're just trying to do the whole doubleheader thing and get people, to the ESPN Disney put a lot of money into doing these doubleheaders.
Yes.
And the ESPN's just trying to take their viewership back, and there's all sorts of business reasons they're doing what they're doing. And I don't mind the doubleheaders, but the Tyreek Hill injury was significant because it does paint how you talk about the Dolphins the rest of the season. I think last night in primetime for the Dolphins was on display what I've been trying to say about the Dolphins, and a lot of other people have been trying to say about the Dolphins as it relates to Tyreek Hill, which we can table that for a second because I wanted to get back to Tommy DeVito and New York, New Jersey, and things like that. I can't pull up the tweets, but like back on November 28th when the DeVito mania was really getting going, he's from Wayne, New Jersey. And
no, he's not.
I thought he was from Wayne, New Jersey.
No.
He played at
Don Bosco, which is in Ramsey. But
okay.
The dirty little secret about Tommy is he's actually not like that. His family looks like classic North Jersey.
So basically, he's like every other Italian in the modern era, where it's kind of like Miami Cubans. Like, you didn't grow up in Hialeah.
Right.
You didn't grow up in the South Santa. You didn't do any of that stuff. Your family's from there, and you're co-oping it.
I would trust his Syracuse bio to give me the actual
I thought he was from Wayne.
He's not.
Okay.
Well, Wayne is the town next to mine.
So Wayne,
he's from Cedar Grove, New Jersey.
Okay. So the reason why I brought up Wayne is that apparently he showed up at a Primo Hoagies in Wayne, New Jersey.
Yeah, Wayne is where there's the other malls are.
I got you.
The Passaic County malls are.
And there was a line going around the strip mall, and people were having their white tees signed and all this other stuff. I mean, just peak Italian stuff. So I started to have flashbacks to, well, there's a couple things that are coming from this that make it interesting to me. This is Linsanity repeated. Yep. Whereas Linsanity with the Knicks was very much about, New York. This is bringing in the whole tri-state area business. And he's won 3 in a row. Nobody's out here talking about how he's the next Brock Purdy yet, but it's going to happen because it's New York, and people lose their freaking minds in New York when the football team shows any sign of life, especially the last couple of years between the Giants and the Jets. But if he wins again, I have a sneaky suspicion of what my guy Aaron Rodgers is going to do next. You know what he's going to do, right? And I'll take the fine. I don't care. Here's the fine jar. Here's the fine. I'll put some money in the fine jar if I have to. Because remember, Aaron was supposed to be the chosen one. He was going to bring balance to the football force in New York. He was going to run New York. This is my town. But no, Tommy DeVito from New Jersey is now the son of New York. He is the guy. And I think he's going to show up to Pat McAfee's show looking like what's his face from The Sopranos. White tee with
Christopher Moltisanti.
He's going to have the suspenders, the track pants with the white tank on. I put it up on
Jackie
the YouTube.
Aprile Jr.
Yeah, look, I put it on the YouTube. I photoshopped it. I put it on Threads. That's what Aaron Rodgers is. That's what Aaron Rodgers is going to look like when he shows up on McAfee show next week if Tommy DeVito keeps winning. That's what's going to happen right now. I hope you're ready. If you thought Tommy DeVito mania was crazy last night, it's only going to get crazier from here if they continue to win. All right, back to the Dolphins. And
the Dolphins, I'm going to tell you when the Dolphins were toast, and it wasn't last night.
Yeah.
It's when Jalen Phillips got hurt. That's when I said, because I actually do think their defense with Phillips was good enough.
The defense saved him last night after Tua Tagovailoa had a bad exchange with a replacement center, by the way, because, again, they got hit with a lot of injuries last night. And you can sustain that, and it looked like they were going to find a way to win, which is one of the big knocks for the Dolphins. But you saw where things went off the rails the minute Tyreek Hill went out with an apparent knee injury. And I'm sure by now, if you're listening to this podcast, if you listen to any national sports talk radio, they've been playing the clip nonstop, where Tyreek Hill got a text from his wife at halftime. And he's like, yeah, my knee's like in pain. She's like, you get your ass back out there and you play, which is what he did in the third quarter. And it looked like they were putting things to bed. The Dolphins had an historic loss last night with 15 points. And there's also a wrinkle to
against a
not great
good team,
a not great Tennessee Titans team, a middling Tennessee Titans
they're not
team.
The Panthers.
No, I mean, who is at this point? Which, by the way, it is pretty ridiculous in a year where Joe Flacco could lead the Browns to the playoffs, where Tommy DeVito has become a phenomenon, where Jake Browning has the Bengals in some sort of contention, that the Panthers offense continues to be terrible. Now, the biggest issue that I had last night wasn't about Tyreek Hill, who I think has solidified more conversation about his MVP status. If you're not going to give it to Dak Prescott, if you're looking for somebody else to change the conversation, Tyreek Hill is that guy to give the MVP to, or Christian McCaffrey to a certain extent with what's going on with the San Francisco 49ers. I didn't like Tua's attitude after the game. After the game, I'm paraphrasing here, but Tua Tagovailoa talked about how, look, man, nobody's perfect. It's just one game. I get it. There's a level of cope that as an athlete, you have to tell yourself and keep it moving, man. After, I don't want to call it a catastrophic loss because they're comfortable in the AFC East. But do you want to go to Baltimore? You, as a well-oiled machine, the Miami Dolphins and their offense, do you want to be cold?
Yeah.
I think the answer to that is no. And you got to keep pace with the Ravens, which is what last night was about. And obviously that did not happen with a 15-point deficit overcome.
Not sure you want to hear this, but I think there are only 2 teams who can win the AFC at this point.
And they are?
The Ravens,
Okay.
Obviously. Oh, there's the Bills.
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
You're trusting the wide variance that is the Josh Allen Bills.
I'm just saying, the big deal with the Bills has been Gabe Davis.
Mm-hmm.
They finally, when they just rely on one receiver, they struggle.
Sure.
When he starts spinning that thing around and moving it around, they do a lot. And when he runs, that's when they have their chances. The Dolphins, but you also have to be healthy.
They're not healthy.
Like,
no, I get it.
You know what I mean?
Like
we downplay this stuff, but it's like
the 49ers are the first team to clinch a playoff spot,
right?
Based on last night's results. But what do we know about the 49ers? What keeps you from getting behind the Niners?
Right. The 49ers should have won the Super Bowl last year. They didn't because you have to be healthy. It doesn't go based on, this isn't a power ranking.
Yeah.
This isn't the eye test. You have to be on the field and win the games.
I think, okay.
Because I look at the Niners and I'm going, this is the perfect marriage of all of the different offensive weapons that they have. The play caller in Shanahan, the defense is not as dominant as they think they are. Because that's not what football in 2023 is anymore. But the defense is very good.
Yeah.
Like they're the best, most complete team in the NFL. They were last year. But they had to play the NFC Championship game with a 4th string quarterback, and they didn't win. There you go. Got to have guys on the field. Kansas City was lucky as shit to win the Super Bowl last year. Lucky as shit. They shouldn't have, but they did. That's how football works.
That's football, man.
Andy Reid was probably owed a Super Bowl for all of the things that he's done in his career. So he got another one. He got a bonus. That's how it works sometimes. Mike Krzyzewski, 2010. Why does he have that title? Why doesn't he have one in 99? I don't know.
It was owed to you. That's
right.
Why. The sports gods have a funny way of doing
so
that.
I think they owe the Niners one.
We'll see. It all is dependent on health. When we talk about the Carolina Panthers, which we're not going to do a lot of today, it's brought to you by Graffiti. Check them out in downtown Cary. We are going to, in March, we're going to get behind this. In March, we're going to do a brackets and bourbon event. We'll have some more details on that when we get into the new year. But in the meantime, head on over to downtown Cary. Lots of stuff to do. They've opened up a new park. They got the Christmas stuff up. And Graffiti's got an excellent bourbon collection. And it's break-even night. It's Tuesday. It's a break-even night out in Cary. So go check out Graffiti. One quick Panthers note. Chris Tabor, the interim head coach, did say that they are not considering sitting Bryce Young. Fine. I can see the argument both ways. And it ultimately comes down to, what do you want out of the rest of your year? If you want out of the rest of the year to try to win a football game, well, then you're probably going to put Andy Dalton in just to give you a different look to see if that would work. But if your concern is reps development, then yes, I can understand why you don't want to waver, which was the big key word from yesterday's press conferences. You don't want to waver in that belief with Bryce Young. So I get the sentiment coming out of Bank of America Stadium. Now,
I don't. You don't have a draft pick to play for.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a tweet that was deleted by Thomas Brown's wife that was basically about, what do you want us to do? Like, we've been fired. We're only here because they didn't get rid of us today. Somebody has to close out
pretty much
the year.
Yeah.
Like, and I kind of feel that way about all the Panthers. What do you want us to do? And at some point there has to be some personal pride. And at some point you have to answer to the other 52 people on the roster. Bryce Young's not good enough to win football games right now. That doesn't mean you say, okay, we'll throw our hands up and we'll try to develop them. But when you fired his coach and you fired the person that he was working with in McCown,
what are you doing here?
What are you really doing?
Yeah.
So
just giving him reps at this point.
For what though?
For next year.
You're not helping them.
For next year.
Is my point. And if you look at those other 52 guys, it's not like you're playing for you're not tanking for the number 1 draft pick because you don't have it.
Yeah.
So I would prefer that they play Dalton and try to win some games, but I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
So, yeah.
And I'm not blaming Chris Tabor either. He's just.
I'm not gonna bring Chris Tabor either. There's 2 other threads to go on here related to the NFL before we move on.
I'm excited that we're actually talking about good NFL teams.
I wanted to. I did. You brought up the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and they've got clear issues. And I think it's related to why Patrick Mahomes reacted the way that he reacted to Kadarius Toney's offsides call. he did apologize yesterday. Patrick Mahomes did apologize yesterday for the one thing I thought was out of pocket. The complaining about the officials after the game, or Andy Reid talking about how they never call this kind of stuff. I got no problems with that because they're right. These are the types of things that you just don't realize in the NFL, and how they don't call everything. And there's a little bit of a push and pull between the officials and the players. And it's on Tony to ask the officials, hey, man, like, am I lined up right? Of course,
Which they showed the video.
and I've seen more stills and stuff like that. I do wonder if the official could even tell, given how Tony was literally like right over the line. Anyway, and I said this yesterday. The only thing I was kind of like, dude, was when he shook hands with Josh Allen. And he's like, wildest call ever, man. Like, I can't believe this. Like, man, Josh Allen doesn't want to hear that, number one. Number two, do you, as a player, when you just won a game that you freaking needed, wanted to hear from the blessed child that has won a couple of Super Bowls with breaks that go their way? You don't want to hear that. You absolutely don't want to hear that. So I do give props to Patrick Mahomes for saying, hey, man, look, a little out of turn when I was saying all that stuff to Josh Allen, which then gets to the other thread, Josh Allen in particular. I guess this is something that I had to think about yesterday. I did a little soul searching yesterday.
You did.
Because you called me out yesterday with like, how do you love Cam Newton and you have no time for Josh Allen? And
It's not that you have no time for him. Like, you like openly hate Josh Allen.
I think this is the reason why, after doing a little bit of soul searching, it's not that I hate Josh Allen. What I hate is the energy that is brought for one player and not for another. Okay. So on their best days, Cam Newton is better than Josh Allen. Can we agree on that? That Cam Newton at his peak is better than Josh Allen at his peak, because we've seen the variances for both. And pre-TJ Watt injury and all that stuff, and the rotator cuff and everything, we're talking MVP season. Josh Allen will never put a season together like that with the group around him.
Oh, well.
Never.
No, not that year. That was a one in a million.
And throw that damn
the Cam Newton year. MVP year was a 1 in a million, given the cast on him and the way that he galvanized that team, specifically about him with his energy and all of the plays that he made for that team.
And throw out the pandemic season for Josh Allen, because pandemic rules that you like to bring up all the time. That was rigged for big numbers for just about everybody. So let's throw that out. All right.
The only thing that gives me pause is the Kansas City game, the playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen Cam play at that level in one specific game.
Now,
that's the only thing that gives me pause. To your point, you're talking about a whole season.
I'm talking about a whole season.
Yeah,
and
I don't think Josh has that.
And when you look at the first 5 years of each player, they're kind of one for one in terms of turnover. But the one thing that Josh Allen has that's worse than Cam Newton, when you look for all the very comparable things, is fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen fumbles that damn ball like crazy. Although he's been better about it this year. I think he only has 4 lost fumbles so far this season, if I looked at the stats correctly. But it's about energy. Josh Allen has a particular hold on people because he plays for a team that has been around for a really, really long time and has a fan base that's struggling. Like, people want Buffalo. Like, there's like a weird like push and pull with Buffalo about having them have nice things, because Buffalo has been hit with a bunch of terribleness when it comes to sports misery. And in that 26, and maybe it's because I was very, very close to that 2015, 2016 season. I'm sorry, the 2016 season for the Carolina Panthers. And at no point did anybody ever believe in the Panthers. They were waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yeah, they're the worst 15-1 team ever.
15-1 team.
They're the worst 11-0 team ever.
They're the worst that. They're the worst this. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like all they kept doing was smoking people. Because you like to point this out about teams. You can give me the bad schedule all day.
Yeah.
What's point differential?
Mm-hmm.
Go back and look at the Panthers season for point differential up until they got to the Super Bowl. When they got to the playoffs, it was, they're going to get exposed. They're going to get exposed. They didn't get exposed.
They hammered the Cardinals in the NFC Championship game.
Right.
Hammered them.
Okay. So let's remember that. Let's not retcon that season. People never believed in the Panthers. They were always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I felt like the only time they believed in them was the Super Bowl.
And of course, you saw what happened, right? Whereas with the Bills, there's always this like, but there's this excuse. Yeah, well, I understand that it was a really bad loss, but You know, everybody's looking like people just pumping up their tires. Like, oh no, it's okay. It's okay. You're going to see. You're actually going to say, no, Josh Allen come back completely. So there's a little bit of like, y'all, what is it about Josh Allen that you love that you don't with Cam? Now, I know what the simple answer might be. But let's get beyond that. And I think it ultimately has to do with Bills fandom rides hard, man. Rides really hard. Whereas the Panthers fandom is a casual thing. It's a casual thing.
You got to remember, too, the Bills are just the Panthers.
Yes.
In terms of the actual template. And the front office personnel. Yes. And Sean McDermott being a former Ron Rivera assistant, like they specifically drafted Josh Allen to be Cam Newton in the same type of offense that they ran. They wanted to run, Ron Rivera wanted to run in Carolina. So that's the part of it I think that rankles you too, is that he gets more credit for being something that really had already happened once.
Radio scars run deep, man.
They do.
They run deep. That's all.
Housekeeping.
Have you filled out the survey yet? Head on over to ogtrianglemedia.com. Fill out the survey so we have a better idea of how 2024 can better suit you. A little bit of housekeeping next week. We're going to only do... So
let's do a meeting.
You want to have a meeting right now?
Yeah.
All right, let's have a meeting right now.
Let me look at the calendar.
So you don't even know what day it is.
I don't. It's the 12th. 12/12.
Oh, yeah, it is the 12th. I got the wrong date in the StreamYard today. Anyway.
Get mad at me.
I thought it was the 13th. Regardless. So next week, we are going to do 3 shows.
We're going OG rules.
OG rules. Summer rules.
Monday, Wednesday, Thursday next week?
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. And then one of the days next week.
Thursday, we'll do it live.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So 3 shows next week. One of those days, we're going to work on our OG year in review.
Okay. Which anybody can podcast on a Monday, so it won't be Monday.
We'll do that on Tuesday.
Okay.
And we will release the OG year in review on December 26th.
2/6. Okay.
On Thursday of next week, though.
Man, I was released on Christmas, Joe.
Who's listening to podcasts on Christmas?
You never know, Joe. You never know.
It's like, man, I'm sick of this family. I'm going on a walk.
No, we can release it on Christmas, though. It'll be like a little Christmas miracle.
You really want to release it on Christmas?
Yes.
All right.
Think about it. I want you to Costanza this thing, because you're right now in radio mode of, wow, we're going to do this in December. Oh, it's the sweeps are over. The book is closed.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Nah, man, what would be better than waking up on Christmas and putting the YouTube stream on your TV while you open gifts? What could be better than that?
Okay. All right.
Name one thing.
So you want me to publish the OG your interview like at 6:00 in the morning on Monday?
Yes.
All right.
Early. Bright and early.
I'll do that.
Can we get Santa in here too?
Do we have a...
I'll dress up like Santa if you want.
Do we have a... Well, you also want to do a New Year's countdown, which will...
At 7 p.
At 7 p. I'm like, yeah. So here's... All right. So I'll do that.
Yeah.
I will do that.
Yes.
I will do that.
Win.
Do we want to give away something to people if they actually have like the Christmas tree and the gifts, and in the background you see us on YouTube?
Yes, absolutely. I have a new OG flag hoodie.
Okay.
That I'm willing to
give away.
To give away to the
maybe some Butcher's Market gift cards. Maybe
I have a few of those too. Yeah, we got some Butcher's Market gift cards too.
We'll do something. Well, all right. I'm with you.
We got 2 more tumblers too from Matt Davis.
All right. Well, we can do that.
We'll give away 3. How about 3 prizes Christmas Day?
All right.
I love this meeting. Good meeting.
Agree. All right. Speaking of shirts, go to OG Triangle. Go to
Are we doing 3 shows this week? We're doing a full week of work this week.
I mean, it's already Tuesday. We're doing a show.
Oh, okay.
Do you not want to do one tomorrow?
No, I'm in work mode. So, I mean,
I have nothing planned for tomorrow.
Why don't we work on our best of the New Year's tomorrow? How about that? And then we'll do a show Thursday.
Okay.
There's nothing going on, dude.
That's fine.
Like even Carolina basketball is like off.
Oh, they're not playing until the 16th.
We're in exams. We're in exam mode.
I'm going to the Duke Hofstra game tonight.
Are you?
Just to pick up my credential.
Nice.
But I'm going to go to the game because I can go to
say hi to Kyle.
I will.
Yeah,
I will. Go to breakingtea.com/OG to buy your OG merch.
I had my hoodie on, but you weren't happy with the white balance. Hang on. Vamp.
Okay, I'll vamp right now. So it's funny. I was at hockey practice last night. I was wearing the Ice Caps version of the hoodie that I had on yesterday's show. Look at that thing. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. That's the Skyhawks version of the podcast in white. It's on camera. You're good. And I had one dad be like, "Huh, you're wearing a hoodie with your name on it." I'm like, "I'm a walking billboard, baby. Always be repping. Always be advertising the podcast. That's what I got to do."
Yeah, you tell that person.
Yeah. Well, it's
Stop hating on my money.
Speaking of which, one of the more amusing things, I went to Kelly's company's Christmas party this past weekend, and it was at the pavilion over at Angus Barn. And one of the guys who was working the bar came up to me and he goes, "Hey man, miss you on the buzz." And I looked at him funny. I was like, "The buzz?
Time machine."
Man, you are old school. You are old school, my dude. You are an OG, aren't you? He goes, yeah. But then I said to him, I'm like, "Well, that's what the podcast is for." And he looked at me, he's like, "Podcast?" Like his eyes lit up. Podcast? Like, yeah, just look up our last names. You'll find it. So the struggle to advertise is real.
The youths love a podcast.
They do. Well, this is an older gentleman.
That's what I'm saying. The youths
get it. The youths get it. The older people, we're still on an educational run. Big thanks to Breeze Through for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check them out. Locations across the triangle, locations across North Carolina. You're running around. You're getting Christmas gifts. You're getting ready for holiday parties. You need the caffeine while you fuel yourself up while you're fueling up your vehicle. Go in, get that coffee. It's fantastic.
I think I hit the mecca of Breeze Throughs yesterday on my way back from the chiropractor.
Yeah.
The one on High House.
Oh, yes.
Buddy.
I told you about that one. I've hit that one. Yes.
I think Adam's been holding out on us. Hey, you guys could go to the Trinity Road. The town of Cary probably wouldn't let us do it from there anyway.
They would not.
But man, that is one sweet breeze through.
That is good stuff. Also, big thanks to Hometown Realty. Check them out, myhtr.com. Buy, sell. They got the mortgage calculator. And more importantly, when it comes to matters of new construction, was it 60%?
More than 60%.
More than 60%.
Unbelievable. I wasn't even thinking about the incentives. Of course, there are incentives. You can't just pick up a phone and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get into a new house all by my own. I'm gonna follow this billboard." No, sir.
Is that what people sound like when they're buying a house?
That's when they're buying a house.
When they're buying a house.
So it's myhtr.com. You'll figure it out. Get yourself hooked up with that new construction. Get yourself some of those incentive from the builders. So these are the smart things to do, especially this time of the year. It's myhtr.com.
And big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. You're taking that house to closing. Use Whitaker and Hamer, wh.lawyer. You've got yourself a traffic violation like Giglio's had several of this year in 2023. I feel like there's an OG year in review for your traffic violations. Maybe we should get Josh on to talk about that. So head on over to wh.lawyer. And be on the lookout. We might have that Tecmo Bowl tournament coming up in January or February.
Yeah, speaking of meetings, Josh wants to meet at Shady's, so we'll do that.
All right, let's do that. I'm down for that. Again, that's wh.lawyer. I got the email yesterday from UNC. Who's in the bowl game and who's not in the bowl game? We knew about Tez Walker, wide receiver, is going to start he's going to go to the Senior Bowl. And then there it was. There will be no Drake Mayo Bowl for the Tar Heels. Drake May, we knew he was going to go pro. The question was whether or not he was going to participate in the bowl game. He is not going to participate in the bowl game. Again, not surprised because that's just the nature of it, but I can feel disappointed, can I not? I can feel disappointed that Drake May is not participating in the bowl game, right?
You can.
Okay.
Drake May has already given up a lot of money for UNC.
He has.
So I don't blame him. I wouldn't have blamed him if he wanted to play. Here's the one from yesterday that I'm really more interested in.
Yeah.
As I continue with if you're not a first round pick, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Sam Hartman is not playing in the Sun Bowl.
Yeah, he's opting out of the Sun Bowl for Notre Dame. Yeah.
Sam Hartman, sir, handsome, very, very handsome. But if you were good enough to play in the NFL, you would have been in the NFL this year.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Hartman, sir, this may be the last chance you have to start a football game.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not playing. I don't get it. I don't get it.
So what are we doing with the Bulls then?
You and I have many ideas. One of our better ones, play the Bulls in August.
Yeah.
Play the Bulls in August.
Kickoff classics, jamborees.
Yep.
Just do that sort of thing. That's the way to go about it.
What's up next? What's up next?
So as I was watching Monday Night Football last night, Scott Van Pelt does the halftime on ESPN. And Van Pelt's like, breaking news in college football. I was like, oh, okay, they must be mentioning the Drake May thing. Oh, no. It was a tease for the SEC football schedule release. For 2024. And they highlighted big games for Texas and Oklahoma versus SEC opponents like Alabama and whatnot. And Luke DeCock, News and Observer, joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. You and I had the same thought, my dude. We saw that Van Pelt tease for the SEC football schedule, and I went, man, if you don't know what time it is in Bristol when it comes to conferences, last night was like in crystal clear HD. Buddy, ACC, we don't care about you. We are here on our big time NFL property promoting the SEC, not y'all. That was pretty stark last night, man.
Not just promoting the SEC, promoting a schedule announcement that's still 2 days away. Like, I haven't been able to eat. I haven't been able to sleep. I haven't been able to drink. I can't do anything until I know when Mississippi plays Mississippi State. My life is on hold. So I broke out the 7-year-old ACC Network tee today for you guys. One of a freebie from football's past.
No, I
forgot to put on the black armband because the network is dead. The game is up. It's over. SEC won. It was. You weren't the only person who texted me, and I literally tweeted that before I went and looked at my texts.
Yeah.
It was just so stunning. I had someone text me this morning with the clip from Animal House, like Muhammad Jugdip, as he's leading which one is it? Not Flounder, Pinto, through the to the undesirables at I can't even remember any of my references. Anyway, that's what happens when Jim Phillips goes to Bristol. Oh, well, you guys will have a lot to talk about then, as he sits him down with Mike Oresco and George Kliakoff and Gloria Nevarez and all the SEC commissioners and their little
poor Jim Phillips. He's given these exclusives about the awesomeness of the ACC offices in Charlotte and
solved all the problems.
And then the Sports Business Journal decides to release their influential college commissioners, and he's not on that list.
A little bit of a glaring absence there when it's with 4 Power 5 conferences left and 3 commissioners are honored. Especially given, ACC as a league office has bent over backwards for Sports Business Journal over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, they've given them every scoop, every exclusive. They leak like a colander to the Sports Business Journal. And here it is, the point where you're supposed to give back a little bit. And they're like, you know what? Even for us, this is a bridge too far. Dark times in Greensboro/Charlotte. But the move fixed everything, I'm told. They now have flags. So that's pretty important. I just think the idea that you moved in next to the Panthers and your conference basically is turned into the Panthers of Power 5 conferences is a little too on the nose.
Before we move on from the ACC and just
I lied, by the way. I can still drink. While I wait for the SEC, but it's oat.
Yeah, coffee. I was going to say, when you go to the doctor's office, coffee doesn't count. Like, you could drink black coffee before you go and get some blood.
This is oat nog. Like getting a glucose test.
Yeah, you can do that sort of thing. Before we move on from the ACC, I am curious though. We still haven't heard from Jim Phillips.
We have a statement. Why do you need Joe? Why do you need more than a statement? We put out a statement. Isn't that good enough? Why do you need the ACC has been toting that? Joe Giglio, tell them, how many times have we gone and said, can we talk to so-and-so about this? Didn't you see our statement? Like, they live in this like 1984 wire service world where none of this shit matters. And the reality is, if your face isn't out there and you're not talking to people, look at Charlie Baker. Charlie Baker has done a one-on-one in the last week with every single important national college sports thinker. He's going to end up going on like the Sports Law podcast. He's going to end up doing a thing with Matt Brown at Extra Points eventually. Yeah. He's going to talk to everyone in that space who matters. And I think Matt matters more than most of them, and I wish him the best with his corporate issues.
Yeah.
But I understand why you start with Yahoo and Sports Illustrated and what's left of Sports Illustrated, the non-AI folks and whatever. But that's what you have to do in 2023. Like, that's what you guys are doing, right? We have a new show. We're trying to push it. We're on our own. So we're going to go out and be in public. We're going to relate to our sponsors. We're going to create value for our watchers/listeners. That's the economy in 2023. You can't put out a statement that says, hey, we started a podcast. You should come listen. And then when people are like, hey, whatever happened to your podcast, get all indignant and be like, didn't you see our issue? We put out
You know what? That's what I should have told the guy at the Angus barn. Didn't you see the blurb in the newspaper?
We put out a statement attributed to the commissioner, so that he never saw. So it's just, I just think the ACC is sort of trapped in this almost pre-Swafford world, dream world, where like, oh, we put out a statement, that's the end of it. Why would you want to follow up? And that hasn't changed for 20 years. I mean, that Giglio will tell you that's been true for a long, long time. I think the only time it was different, Joe, and correct me here, maybe during the first expansion when Swafford would come out and talk in the parking lot in Greensboro every day. If you were there at 5 o'clock, he would come out and kind of give a state of the league update. That was a little different. So I shouldn't paint with too broad a brush here, but that's the plan, right? Maybe, I mean, who knows? Phillips may have been on ACC PM every day for 3 weeks. Nobody would know.
No, he wasn't.
Anyway, it's just not. My issue with so much of college sports these days is it's just not the way I would do things, and I don't think I'm always right. I just think I've seen this movie too many times. I know how it ends.
Speaking of seeing a movie too many times, let's pivot to the Carolina Hurricanes, because I think this is a much more interesting conversation.
Speaking of not wanting to eat.
So, goaltending is the easy thing to point to, and Giglio and I have talked about this, and I don't think anybody is out here trying to tell you, but no, goaltending is actually good. We all recognize it for what it is, and it's different without Freddie Anderson, and we don't know when Freddie Anderson's going to come back. And hopefully, the most important part is he gets the blood clotting issue right. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But beyond the goaltending issue, I think it is masking other problems for the Carolina Hurricanes. And yes, we can all recognize that defensively they have not been what that roster should be. But I keep coming back to the offense. I keep coming back to a system that can create a bunch but isn't cashing. And at some point, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again. And Joe and I were talking about like the likes of Sebastian Aho. Are you the guy? Are you this guy that is going to produce what the contract dictates? And I'm starting to wonder, maybe he is the guy, but they're so devoted to the system that it's handcuffing an offense that might be better than it actually is.
Yeah, I don't think so. You may be right. I don't think so. And the reason why is, by any metric, there are 25 teams in the league that would trade for the Hurricanes' balance of chances for and chances against over the course of the season. The finishing is a perpetual issue. And that's why Andrei Svechnikov gets all the big money, because he's supposed to finish in a way that other players can't. And he's finishing like Victor Rask right now. So, you've got to get past, I'm not blaming everything on Andrei Svechnikov. I mean, Michael Bunting was supposed to score more. You had Jesperi Kotkaniemi carry the offense through the first month of the season. You shouldn't lose a game when that's happening. But I do think that is a very, very multi-season macro problem that the additions of Bunting and to a lesser extent Brennan Lemieux were designed to address. Let's get some guys in here who can finish some of the chances we create. That hasn't changed. And I don't think at this point, unless you're going to change coaches, you can get away from that, because the team is wired to play a certain way. It has to play a certain way to have success. And the idea is, over a period of time, if you take enough kicks at the can, you won't run into a Florida situation where you get outscored in 4 1-goal games. You'll win 4 1-goal games and win the Stanley Cup. So I don't necessarily have an issue with that. That's the way the team is built. We know it. It makes up for it in other ways, supposedly. Everything else that you mentioned, the defense, the turnovers in the neutral zone, the losing guys, to me, that is all the game poisoned by lack of confidence in the goalies. We saw it with Scott Darling. We saw it with Eddie Lack. We saw it to a certain extent at times with Peter Mrazek, but times with Freddie Anderson. When the players on the ice lose faith and they don't believe in the guy in the net anymore, they start taking shortcuts, which is the worst thing you should do. But you're like, oh, crap, I've got to go do this because we can't give up that chance. That's where, when you play the way the Hurricanes play, all the seams open up. Suddenly you're getting sliced apart. Things fall apart. And I think that's a big part of what's going on with the defense is those guys aren't doing their jobs because they think they have to do everything, because they know that any shot, I mean, God bless Peter Kachuk. I think he still could be the goalie of the future, but he's doing this Scott Darling tribute act where he's either making himself small or falling over or waving at stuff with his glove. We've seen it before. We know what happens to the game on the ice. And as much as things have been exponentially better under Rod Brindamore, there's some tenets from the Bill Peters system that carry through there. It's not a complete break from coach to coach. So when we say that we've seen this before, we have to a degree. That mentality of when your goalie is not good. And look, you cannot paper over the goaltending situation. Even if the Hurricanes were playing perfectly from goal line to goal line, they would still be losing games because of the goaltending situation. They are of the 4 worst goalies in the NHL. So of, let's say, 60, 70 guys who have played 10 to 15 games. Of the 4 worst goalies in the NHL, they are 2 of them. You cannot win hockey games that way. Because 1, you're going to lose games because of the goaltending when you play well. 2, they're not going to win a game for you when you play crappy. And 3, eventually it starts bleeding over to the rest of your game. And that's what we're seeing now. That's the snowball. That's the cliff you fall off of. It's hard to come back from that without getting a new guy in net or Freddie Anderson coming back, which I agree. Freddie Anderson's deal is long-term because you cannot get that wrong, right? You dial it too far one way, he gets a clot on a plane. You dial it too far the other way, he bleeds out on the ice from a skate nick. It has to be right. Once you get into that, you're playing with forces you cannot understand. So I feel like in the end, yes, you're right that there's guys who aren't producing, there's guys who aren't scoring. To me, that's just sort of who the Hurricanes are, and they usually overcome it, except for that one playoff series a year when they don't, and the odds are with them that eventually that won't happen. The goaltending stuff bleeding into their defense, allegedly the deepest defense in the league, and I think it's been better since Chatfield replaced D'Angelo. That's the cue for all the power play folks. But I think it's been better until this latest slide. I think that's poisoned by the goaltending. So I do think the Hurricanes' specific problems tie back to goaltending. The failing to finish chances is just sort of something. It's a absolute, like the firmness of the earth with this team.
We are correct in criticizing Jim Phillips for all of the reasons that we criticize him for. His leadership model is one way. Tom Dundon is on the other end of that spectrum. Mm-hmm. So the one thing that always blew me away to this day about Tom Dundon was him telling me, "Oh, that's not how," in a real Dean Smith type moment, that's not how we calculate the Stanley Cup odds. And I'm going, this guy's doing something else that I ain't even fucking thought of. Yeah. Like, I mean, holy shit, dude. So if Joe Giglio's at PNC Arena watching the Islanders game, Luke, and I think I saw you at that one, that's the one. You watch that game, you are dominant. You are playing. You're doing all the things. I mean, it was like the Book of Rod or the Book of Laviolette or whoever Laviolette. Yeah. Oh, yeah. From. Like that was how you draw up how the Hurricanes are supposed to play a hockey game, and they lose.
Yeah,
because of the goalie.
Mm-hmm.
And you could point to like, well, they didn't defend well enough on this player. He lost his man in this play. Kachukov did not make one save you need him to make.
So if I'm sitting here looking at that, going, and you're sitting there going,
and that was the game for me where it ticked.
Yeah. So what's Tom doing, Luke? Do you think? Because I keep joking, well, they'll just go trade for Patrick Roy or Marty Brodeur, but they have to be evaluating all of the different options that are available to them at this point, right?
Yeah, well, we know they are because they brought in Jaro Halak on a tryout, which is not the kind of thing you do if you're feeling good about your goaltending. And obviously he was not at age 41, whatever he is, not up to snuff in the practices they saw. So that was that. I think it's 2 things. One, they're trying to wait as long as possible. The longer they wait, the more cap space they're going to have at the deadline to address other problems. So yes, tactically in the sort of now, and I think it's reached this point, you're trying to just say, look, if we can just cobble together enough decent games, which I think even at the time of the Islanders game, they were, to stay afloat until January 15th, February 1st, then we can go out and get a goalie from a team that's contending now and has fallen off the map a little bit. Like maybe that's the Islanders. The other part of it is, and then so you're preserving cap space. 2, what's the market look like? Is someone like Marc-Andre Fleury using up a big chunk of your cap space any better than these guys now? I mean, statistically, it's a very marginal improvement. Now, could you put Marc-Andre Fleury on a new team behind these guys and they plays better? Maybe. Goalies are weird. we've seen that a lot. But you look at the problems that the Wild had, the problem the Oilers had. It doesn't matter how well you play when your goaltending is that bad. And that's gotten both those coaches fired. Obviously, this is a different situation because it's Rod's a different guy, but this is the kind of thing that in other markets with other coaches leads to a coaching change because there's only so much you can do other than that shock to the system to get a team going. I don't think that will happen here. I would never rule it out. It's hockey. Coaches are disposable parts, but he's too big a part of the identity of the franchise to do sort of a mid-season panic fire.
Look, Rod, of all people, understands that he's not going to have this job forever, and it's going to end in a way that he probably doesn't want. So that's just the nature of the business. He's done this too long and knows better. And I want to make it clear, I'm not advocating that, hey, man, if Rod doesn't get this thing turned around,
no,
you got to do my push simply is the Canes' frustration for me is I get your point about the odds. They feel, when we talked to Dundon in the gas station, when they feel that the odds are in their favor, all right, it's very Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Got it.
The playoff series with Florida. He said, play that thing 1,000 times. We win 999.
But you don't get that. You don't get that.
No, I know.
That's sport. You don't keep getting those opportunities.
But if that's your math brain, that's how
your brain works. No, the NHL committee said the Hurricanes were one of the two best teams and put them in the final against the Oilers.
That's what it was.
Because they had to, because those are the rules. And
those are the rules, man.
Possibly do the anyway, I'm sorry.
They're sixth in the Metro or whatever, not because it's because the committee feels they're the sixth best team. Anyway,
I think the Oilers loss, though, of the most recent performances is the one that you say you can't play like that.
No,
the Winnipeg, Calgary, Vancouver are all games where you're like, this is what the Canes do. And you're going to win some of them and you're going to lose some of them.
Here's the Winnipeg game is a great example. Laurent Brossoit won that game for the Jets.
Yeah.
They were outplayed and their goalie won that game for the Jets. Honestly, when's the last time you said the Hurricanes played poorly and their goalie bailed them out?
Yeah.
I went back to last January looking for a game that you would say that maybe won in the playoffs. But it just doesn't happen because they don't play that poorly that often. And B, their goaltending hasn't been good enough to bail them out. It's been good enough to win when they play well. And now it's not good enough to win when they play well. And in fact, costing them wins when they play well.
There's a larger conversation to be had. I want to see more data. Just good coaches, and I think Rod is a good coach, eventually will look at the things happening to why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? Well, maybe you need to change the way you go about it. And I do wonder if there's a wrinkle. I mean, look, he hung out with Mike Krzyzewski. Did Mike Krzyzewski win 5 national championships because he kept doing the same damn thing over and over and over again? No. He saw how things were evolving. He saw how things were changing. I have to get entire classes out of here because this isn't working anymore. So I am curious at what point for Rod in his coaching arc looks at what's going on and feels, all right, I need to make some changes, because there's also the dynamic of the window and their players and how long they're going to be here, looking a little older too. That's another aspect of this that is part of the Kane season so far. Guys looking a little bit older. So these are just big macro questions that I think are fair conversations to have about the Carolina Hurricanes while it's still relatively early in the season.
Luke, your thoughts on either Orlov coming in and not fitting in, and or every year I feel like we have a conversation about a player who's in a contract year, and then invariably they come back and they're like, yeah, man, I just didn't play the same because of the contract. I wonder where that is with Pesce and what we've seen from Pesce this year, because the defense and I think you're right when you ultimately say you're trying to do too much because of the lack of ability in net. But I do wonder, Orlov being that new piece and Pesce in the contract situation that he's in, do you see anything different with those two guys?
The thing I see with Orlov is the thing you see with every defenseman who comes into the system, which is it takes you 4 months to figure it out. It took Brent Burns 4 months to figure it out. It took Dougie Hamilton 4 months to figure it out. Doesn't matter how good you are. The way the Hurricanes play, the way they handle the defensive zone is different than the way a lot of teams play. And it works for them. It wouldn't necessarily work other places. So when you are a defenseman who's played all or most of your career one way, you come into this system, you're asked to make different reads and take different guys and do different things around the net. That's not uncommon. And look, you're going to have a hard time finding two guys with more hockey sense than Dougie Hamilton and Brent Burns. And they both struggled with it. Now they're both fine by February. So to me, that's kind of the window for Orlov. The Pesce thing, this is a guy who's had a lot of injuries. There's a lot of hard miles there. At a certain point, that does catch up with you. And I think that's been a part, even before this season, of the Hurricanes' reticence to sort of sit down and say, like they have with other players, like they did with David Terravino 3 summers ago, whenever it was, all right, let's just sit down and do what it takes to get this done. We've seen them do it. Like there is a point in their management process where they say, okay, we're willing to give a little bit because we want to get the deal done, as much as they try to, crunch every number, et cetera, et cetera. They haven't done that with Pesce. They haven't done that with Brady Shea, which surprises me a little bit. That may be sort of a insurance plan if things go wrong with Pesce or something. And obviously Teuvo Teravainen, you're kind of like, well, go ahead, kid, do what you can do, and we'll figure this one out at the end of the year, based on the way he played last year. So Teuvo plays better in contract years. Marty Necas clearly does not. That probably, I think if you're going to do one thing here, aside from the goaltending, what this group may need, to your point, Joe, and more than anything else, it's not necessarily changing the system, but have things gotten stale? Did running it back put too many guys in positions they're too comfortable in? And is this the time to trade a popular player, if you get something back, to send a message to everyone else there? That's what Jimmy Rutherford would do right now.
Yeah.
He would pick a guy at random, trade him to the Stars, and just deal with it. So is now the time to make a Marty Necas trade? I would argue that the way he's played defensively in some of these games, he's not helping you. He may still have some value because his numbers are okay and his overtime stats look great. But is now the time to make a deal like that? Do you trade Teravainen? I wouldn't trade Teravainen now because his value is low and he's still contributing. But this is the time to think about something like that. And I just think the market for Pesce and Shea has not been what the Hurricanes thought it would be, or one of them would be gone by now.
Luke DeCock, columnist, News and Observer. All right, man. We appreciate it. Tommy DeVito, baby.
I'm drinking my oat nog to Tommy DeVito and his agent, the driving crew.
Hey, look, he's that man. Put some respect on that man's name. He's going into the Chicago Italian American Sports Hall of Fame.
Hey, and Joe, he's from Massachusetts, so you can't even claim him as like a Bergen County guy.
That's true.
He's from Salem of all places.
Stellato is
a phony Jerseyan. There's a topic for a future show. Who's the most phony New Jerseyan?
All right, man. We'll talk to you later. You know what's not phony? You know what's super, super comfortable?
I was going to say, which way are you going here?
Home field.
Got me.
Homefieldapparel.com. These are no phony baloney shirts, man. These are super comfortable t-shirts, super comfortable hoodies, great things like bomber jackets as well. And if you're looking for a Christmas gift, Hanukkah gift for the sports fan in your life, head on over to Home Field Apparel. Great college retro inspired gear that you can get right now. Use the promo code OG23 to save 15% off your order. Use the app too, because when you use the app, you start saving even more money.
It's an easy app. Number one. Number two, once you sign up with the app, once a week I get at least one offer.
Speaking of saving money, State Farm wants to save you money on your insurance. Matt Davis, InsureGarner.com, TheOGInsurance.com, and give them a call, 919-779-8277.
Who doesn't like saving money? Do what Troy did. Give them a call, 919-779-8277. Say, hey, I was listening to the OG. They were talking about State Farm, talking about Matt Davis. Want to save on my home, my auto insurance. Maybe Bon Jovi's getting a little bit older. You throw some pet insurance in there too. You can do it. Troy saved more than 40%.
That's awesome
on his insurance. And then his mom did too. Troy and his mom.
Awesome.
Okay.
Saving
so
money.
Be smart and give Matt Davis a call.
When you save all that money, you know what you can do with the money you save? Go buy meat. Head on over to Butcher's Market, new location, Lake Boone in Raleigh. I still need to get over there. It's gonna be tough to leave my home base because it's closer, but I do want to check out the new space.
Yep, you need to.
Okay,
good spot.
I will do that this weekend when I'm doing some.
No sandwiches
groceries.
yet.
They'll get there.
So you get your meats there. You get your sides. Get your morning recovery in there. All the good stuff. The Butcher's Market. Go check them out over at Lake Boone Trail.
Did you buy your Kirkland golf clubs yet?
Kirkland?
Yeah.
No.
As much as you love Kirkland, you were rocking the Kirkland hoodie the other day.
Love Kirkland. They sell a lot of Callaway stuff.
They
at,
do.
Costco.
So this is from golf.com. The headline is Costco's $499 Kirkland Signature iron sold out in just hours. This was back on December 10th. Look at that. Look at the Kirkland Signature logo on those irons, man. They're tungsten, so you know it's real. So this is a thing that golfers in the know ride for the Kirkland brand golf stuff.
The
like
Kirkland
the Kirkland golf balls.
And the gloves are fine. Yeah.
I discovered a brilliant podcast called Does It Kirkland? And their whole thing is they go and find the equivalent IPA.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a Kirkland Signature IPA, there's Kirkland wines, there's all this other stuff. So they try to put it up versus like what you would expect a top of the line or mid-tier level liquor, wine, beer, whatever. And on occasion they'll hit on something going, yeah, man, that Kirkland's, let's go. I would be curious if we can get our hands on these irons, would you do a review?
I would probably be the wrong person.
Who would be the right person for
since
this?
I'm always in my head when it comes to certain equipment. Brad Frisch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Brad's a pro.
Yes.
So you would, he would hit him and he's going to hit it pure. So when he hits it, he's hitting it right. Like when I hit it, I've advanced to the part in my golf career where I play old man golf.
Yes.
And when you play old man golf, you are required to use pings. So I have a ping set. That's what I use.
Apparently these things are going on eBay for double.
I believe it.
For the set because people really want. I guess it's a conversation starter too.
Right.
I thought my King Snake 3-wood is a conversation starter.
No, you have a 9-wood, sir.
That's the actual conversation starter.
I play golf with people and they're like, does Ovies really have a 9-wood? I'm like,
yep.
And he really uses it.
It's an Adams tight line.
They were like, where did he get it from? I go, I think during the radio boom of the 10s, he got it for free.
No, I did not.
You didn't?
I did not. It was during the radio boom when a lot of stuff was coming my way free. But I picked that up at Dick's Sporting Goods.
You paid for that?
I paid for that. It was like $150, $175.
I cannot justify you buying. It made so much more sense when you had a 9-wood gifted to you from a manufacturer.
No, the golf club set that I have, which is a Wilson Ultra golf club set, that was gifted to me by a listener back when I first started in radio. So one of my first jobs in radio was doing a show called The 19th Hole with Rob Judson and Dave Wooten. I don't know where those guys are today.
I have no memory of this.
Gold actually used to host that show, by the way.
I could believe that.
So when I came on as a part-timer my senior year at NC State in the fall of 2000, my first gig was to work weekends, and that show was on at like 7 o'clock in the morning. There was a PGA Tour radio thing that I would have to run spots for, and then this show. And I would screen calls. And there was a guy who was a longtime listener to this show, and he hated the fact that I was not into golf. Just hated it. So I
can't believe you bought the 9-wood.
I bought the 9-wood
with your own money.
Yeah.
I can't believe somebody sold it to you.
They had them available. It was the hot new thing from Adams Golf.
Joe, a 9-wood was never the hot new thing.
And I know they make a 13, which I will find one day out there. The Destiny and a 13-wood and I will come together. No, but he was so mad at me being annoying about
agnostic.
My lack of interest in golf that he dropped off at Falls of the Noose and Millbrook, the old 850 The Buzz studios, there where the Coastal Credit Union is. He dropped off in boxed, brand new Wilson, a starter set.
Google wants me to buy a 13-degree wood. They don't even recognize what a 13 wood is.
They do. It does exist. I will find it. You think, speaking of booms, do you think Live Golf will provide a 13 wood for me at this point since they're just handing out money?
Yeah, why not?
Quick question. I didn't want to spend too much time on this because I do think there's the whole Live Golf PGA Tour fatigue and everything else. But I am curious with John Rahm bouncing for Live Golf last week. What's the point? Where's this headed?
Live is buying the PGA Tour,
but nobody gives a crap about Live. Is my point. Where is this going?
They will.
I don't think
there will only be one tour.
I don't think they will. Are they going to keep it as the team golf 54-hole no-cut events?
No, I think what they'll do is they'll have a tour.
Yeah.
Right. And then once a month, they'll play a live event where they do the things that have worked for live, which is like Australia, London, some of those other spots. They're the ones buying PGA. It's not the other way around. So whatever live wants to do, live is going to do.
Yeah.
It's their money. That's the part of this that I don't understand from people. The tour sold themselves out. So why would Jon Rahm stay loyal to anything other than what's best for him? He tried, and he was public about it before that he wanted to stay on the tour. Well, when the tour sold out, what was he supposed to do?
Sorry, I got down the rabbit hole of trying to find a fairway wood.
So did I. And there's a 15 wood apparently.
Yeah, there is a 15 wood too. I thought I found one on eBay, but I was wrong.
Okay, even if you find one of these, you're not finding a lefty.
No, I think I just found one actually.
But there's way too many things on the internet if that's the case. My mind is still blown. I thought that was a freebie.
No,
I
it
had
was
no
not.
idea that you went to an actual store and bought the 9 wood. I'm now madder at the person who sold you the 9 wood than really anything else.
Why are you mad about that?
Well, you don't play golf. So what on earth would you need a 9 wood for?
Because
that's your 100-yard club.
So this is an Adams Tight Lies. Oh, this is a 16 degree. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Look, man, I'm going to find it.
You're talking about like a 35, 40 degree club. Like,
yeah, I think the 9 wood's a 26 degree.
It's more than that.
Is it more than that?
Yes.
I'll have to go back and find it. I'm on my never-ending quest. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Back to the live golf thing real quick. I think this is a miscalculation by the golfers and the Saudi golf too. And the Saudi investment club. Are people like you still going to go gamble on golf?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Are people still going to care about the Masters? Of course they are.
Yeah.
And the US Open and that kind of stuff. Of course they are. But I do think that the way they've gone about this and how everybody's basically gone back on comments they've made about, oh no, that's not the case. I mean, Jon Rahm's the biggest one.
Sure.
And then everybody has a price. I can go full $1 million man. I think they are overestimating people's love of golf in this particular case, especially from the casual fan perspective. Once you've lost the casuals, man, it's a wrap for you. Now, golf might not care about that because golf is catering to a very specific demographic that has lots of money. It's not lost on me that when I watch a golf event, I'm seeing NetJets and Rolex ads and various investment portfolios.
Not the Venn diagram of their advertisers and ours. It looks like this.
Yeah, OG Media LLC advertising pool and
like
the
the
golf
job.
advertising pool are it's two perfectly round circles that you paid a lot of money for. So that. But I do wonder, is golf basically sustaining itself on young golf bros who listen to Barstool podcast and gamble, and an older set?
You're just thinking of this in a Western mindset. The Saudi money doesn't care. The Saudi money doesn't care.
No. I get that part.
They're the ones who bought the PGA.
At some point,
or they're in the process of.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Saudi money is funny money. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Right.
They can literally light it on fire like the Joker.
The part that they care about was Greg Norman putting the PGA Tour out of business. That's what this is all about.
But to what end is my question?
Who knows? Who knows what they want?
Because ultimately,
what do they care about? They don't sell ads. They don't do anything.
Ultimately, American audiences, which is ultimately what sustains you in golf here.
What have we already seen though from American audiences? To your point, they care about the Masters. They care about the majors, and that's it.
So the rest of the stuff doesn't matter anymore. So golf is going to be a four weekend a year of a thing. Then it's going to be. It's going to turn into horse racing. Golf's going to turn into horse racing, where you check out the Kentucky Derby like you would check out the Masters, and then you kind of keep tabs. Oh, did the horse win again? Cool. Now I'll watch the Triple Crown.
And then I think the players will obviously still matter. The Players Championship down in Florida. I think there will be some live events again. Yeah. The one in Australia because of Cameron Smith, because of those guys. Mm-hmm. There'll be some of those events that'll happen that will peak, not because it's a player format or whatever else.
Yeah.
But DeChambeau, shooting a 58.
I was reading comments.
That was a thing.
Even Rahm was like, we got to get rid of this 54-hole format.
Right. And maybe they will.
Team golf. They got to get rid of that crap.
Maybe they will. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what their I don't know what their ultimate plan is because I don't have their mindset. All I know is Greg Norman wanted to get rid of the PGA Tour, and he's successfully done that.
Now, Rahm is going to get all this money now. He's not getting $680 million of that in 10 years, right? He's not getting $2 million a year over the course of the contract, and no, there's no luxury tax implications like Shohei Ohtani.
You thought Bobby Bonilla was smart?
Whew.
I thought Tom Dundon was thought on a different plane than I do. Shohei Ohtani's on a different level, man.
I very much, as we're wrapping things up here, my general attitude about Shohei Ohtani was, hey, man, go get paid. Cool. But two things have occurred in the last couple of days that made me realize that Shohei Ohtani broke two groups of people. He broke baseball media.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit last week, making fun of baseball for not having a free agent frenzy. Like, you should go on I need a Shohei Ohtani at a boys and girls club somewhere telling me I'm taking my talents to LA. Like the real LA, not this Anaheim crap. We didn't get that. Baseball writers are eating themselves right now in the reaction to how it was covered. So he broke them. And now I think he's going to break the economics of baseball, given the way that this contract is playing out. He's essentially gambling on the fact that money's still going to be good in 10 years.
He's not gambling on anything.
What if Major League Baseball, knowing what we know about TV and how everything is structured, I guess there's bank funny money like the Bonilla thing where it pays for itself over time.
Well, that was the Mets and literally involved in a Ponzi scheme.
Well, there was that too. So
I'm wondering what the Dodgers owners are. No, if the Dodgers would have to fold, Major League Baseball would have to cease to exist.
Okay.
It's the contract is guaranteed.
It is guaranteed. He'll get his money. He'll get
it's not funny money. It's his. He's just deferring.
Well, no,
I love the people who are like,
you're right.
What can you do with $2 million a year, buddy?
Plenty.
Give me $2 million. Let me see what I can do with it.
Plus, you and I know people who, like, you think $2 million is what he's living on. The guy has endorsement deals coming out of his ass.
Yeah.
Okay. He's fine.
This is not Mike Trout.
No, absolutely not.
A hermit.
Well, you know what, though? You're right. Baseball is not going anywhere because eventually the Dodgers will be purchased by the Saudi investment fund.
Yeah.
So he'll be fine.
Yeah.
He will be fine. Absolutely fine.
We're moving on.
All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe questions. Before we do that,
I thought that was a modified Hey Joe. I didn't know
it wasn't. Big thanks to Wings Over, by the way. Wings Over, check them out in downtown Raleigh, in Chapel Hill, and in Greenville. We brought up Wings.
Do we need to have a talk about what you consider downtown Raleigh?
That is downtown Raleigh.
No.
Hillsborough Street.
NC State is not downtown Raleigh.
Okay.
Hillsborough Street. Over at NC State.
Technical.
Across from University Towers. Well, I don't want people coming down to Fayetteville Street being like, where's Wings Over?
Downtown Raleigh's big.
It is, but downtown Raleigh is not big.
As neighborhoods.
I'll give you Glenwood.
Fine.
As part of downtown Raleigh. Right. Hillsborough Street is not part of downtown.
I'm sorry.
Don't mislead our people.
You know what? Don't mislead yourself then. Because you were like, oh, I could take a scooter to Wings Over.
I can.
So that technically counts as downtown. If you can scooter from here to Wings Over, that counts as downtown. That counts as downtown. You can't scooter from here to North Hills.
Wings Over Raleigh. Wings Over Greenville, Wings Over Chapel Hill, order online, wingsover.com.
Jeez.
Get the best wings in town, guarantee it.
And also big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Check them out. Bugsbite.com is the website. And there's a lot of...
let me get my proper talking points.
I was going to say, I'm getting my talking points too. Yes. Now that we actually have talking points, I want to bring this up.
Our freestyling, it's may or may not be appreciated by all fronts.
Marguerite's like, would you stick to the talking points already? Bundling's back, baby.
That's the word we were looking for.
Bundling is back. Year-round total home and yard defense from the bugs that impact your life. We're talking 24/7, 365 pest protection, covers bugs across all seasons. One solution for both indoor and outdoor protection, and no contracts or commitments. So contact Pest Authority today. The bundles start at just $39 a month. Again, go to bugsbite.com. And of course, thanks to Oakwood Pizza Box. Would you count that as downtown Raleigh? You can scooter there.
I can.
Is that downtown? It's about equidistant from here as Wings Over.
No.
I will do the math after the show.
Let's do it.
You know what? I'm doing it right now.
After the show. We'll do it live.
We'll do it. You know what? We're going to do
Just
it right
give
now.
me your Hey Joe questions. Let's get this thing on the road.
Why?
I was ready last segment. I
You
thought that
tell
was
me.
it. I was like-
You tell me all the. You tell me all
Wrap
the
it up.
time. You tell me all the time. It's a podcast, Joe. What's it matter? We have all the time in the world.
It's fair.
From Ja Rule, it's wild to me that the player is lined to talk about Kadarius Toney, and Mahomes feels like he could be mad at the ref. No energy at all was directed at Toney. It's not the ref's responsibility to tell the players where to be. I think this is an admission from Patrick Mahomes that what are you going to say to Kadarius Toney? This is who he is.
Yeah.
So you can't yell at him. So who are you going to yell at? Take the focus off him. Coaches do this all the time. You know, like a player makes a move that you're like, what the hell happened? And then they take it upon them. Roy was the king of this.
Did I just put another burner on there?
No, Timmy Ann's not a burner. Joe will totally check out that Asteria joint. He can't resist it. I did tell her that I would want to check it out. All right. Oakwood Pizza Box is 0.8 miles from here.
Okay.
From our Eford studio locations. Let's go to Wings Over Rock. Okay. It's a mile further. 2.1 miles from here to Wings Over on Hillsborough Street. So it's a mile difference.
Would you consider the Oakwood section downtown? Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's not traditional part of downtown. Like I'm saying, Glenwood, Oakwood. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Mordecai is. Yeah.
From GFC Pastor, is it wrong to say that these players could pay for play by going professional, but if they chose to go to college, they are forfeiting their right for compensation because they are students? Yes and no, because you're basically acting as, I mean, if I'm going to interpret it this way, if you're
Okay, well, once the colleges give up their $1 billion contracts,
that's the thing.
then we can talk about how it's whatever. But no, come on.
Let's take it to a basic level. Let's stick to a basic level. So you're saying that all students should give up their right to compensation for work? You know, because you can be a scholarship student. We'll use UNC as an example. You can be a scholarship student in the School of Journalism and actually work for the News and Observer.
Yeah.
Get paid while you're still in school. When I was at NC State, I was able to make money as the general manager at WKNC. I made $450 a month, but whatever. It's good beer money.
It's like a lot.
It actually kind of was when I think about it. It was $450 a month.
Pretty sure I got like $50 from.
Yeah, but I was running the radio station. Just saying. So $450 a month to be the GM of the radio station.
I think you were skimming.
I was not skimming. Program directors were getting $350 a month. So I think the promotions person was getting like $275, if I remember correctly. Adjusted for inflation.
Actually, I didn't get paid by KNC. I only got 50. Maybe I got $100.
I think when it was, I want to say it was $25 or $30 a baseball game. If you sat and ran the board for a baseball game.
I can see that. They probably sold ads.
They sold ads.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No. Donor announcements. You couldn't actually sell ads. Because remember,
That's right.
it's a public radio station. But anyway, but when I was working at WKNC,
where was all that money coming from? I need to do an expose on
student fees.
KNC in this.
It was
payola
it was
scandal.
between. No, that's not how payola works. It was. You never signed that, did you? Anyway, yeah, I was making money from KNC and I was making money from 850 The Buzz while I was a student at NC State. Am I not right to be compensated for doing work? I mean, football's the job, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show.
If they don't want to put money into it, then fine.
That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Have we decided? We'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, tomorrow we're going to work on some best of stuff.
Got it. We'll see you guys on Thursday.